Hello everybody, this video is entitled MSTR Billion Dollar Buy. Buys 1 billion Bitcoin, adds more than 10,000 Bitcoin. And of course, you'll forgive me for rounding it up. It's actually $963 million, but that's because Bitcoin is has a very depressed price right now. Bitcoin is trading at $90,000, actually trading just below, $80 below $90,000. Yes, this will amount to well over $1 billion in very little time when Bitcoin bounces back. Hopefully sometime in 2026. Anyways, question number one. Has Saylor been feeling rich in the Middle East? I've very much been laughing about these tourist pictures of Saylor just going around from tiny rich country to tiny rich country to tiny rich country. And I saw he met some officials in Abu Dhabi. I don't really know what's brewing there. I don't know if he's trying to get an investment or trying to gauge interest for maybe a preferred or something like that. But, he's been feeling pretty rich because that's a very big buy, 10,600 Bitcoin. And of course, how was he able to do that? Well, he was able to do that with my old love, which is the common ATM. If you followed the channel for a while, you know that I am the biggest fan of the common ATM. I was disappointed when he said he would not use it in August, when he said he would not use it anymore in August. And of course he reversed that and he said, changed my mind, I'm going to use it again. If only he had continued to ATM in August, right? If only, because the stock dropped anyways. So you should have just continued ATMing in August. Actually, that $1 billion ATM was barely felt on the stock price this past week. If you look at the stock price, it roughly just a tad outperformed Bitcoin. So the stock price was flat, yet he was able to ATM nearly $1 billion with STRD, a little bit of STRD, but mostly MSTR. Why is that important that he adds permanent equity, permanent capital to the balance sheet? When you issue stock to buy Bitcoin, you're adding permanent capital. That permanent capital will serve as a base to issue even more preferreds. The more permanent capital you got on the balance sheet, the more preferreds you can issue. Now, granted, he already has a lot of permanent capital on the balance sheet. There's this huge stack of unencumbered Bitcoin. But acquiring Bitcoin right now through the common ATM makes sense because you're going to be able to write more debt down the line. You're going to be able to write more stretch debt down the line. And of course, it makes sense right now. I wish he had done it in August when we had an MNAV of 1.6 or 1.7. Right, and you remember the beginning of the year, I made this video, walking people through the math. I still recommend this video to be watched, walking people through the math of how the common ATM works. I explain everything, how it works, how the common ATM works, doing public math, and how you're actually, being accretive to the shareholder. People still don't understand. They still view it as dilution, but it's accretive dilution. In my example, at the beginning of the year, he was selling $1 for $1.96, right? And right now, he's selling $1 for $1.16, unfortunately. So you're only doing a 60% gain on each dollar that you issue. And depending on how you calculate BTC treasuries, you see it as 1.12. I believe the EV MNAV number of strategy.com, this is a screenshot from strategy.com, that's the better number. Of course, people have different views as to which MNAV they should use. My view is that the basic MNAV is a little too basic, of course, because, of course, the convertible debt is going to equitize. And when it equitizes, it makes more sense to actually use the market cap plus the value of the debt, and that's your enterprise value. That's how you calculate that number, rather than use just the market cap and naively ignore the value of the debt. So this is still accretive, 1.16 There's a little lag in the update of btctreasuries.com, but it's 1.16. So that's still accretive. You know, on $1 billion, it's still 160 million. So it's still pretty good. But still, like I said, not as good as in August. But this is going to serve as a base that's going to allow him to issue more preferreds in the future. Talking about Bitcoin, of course, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, this is, and of course, follow Marty Party for the short-term stuff. I really recommend you follow him. He knows the short-term stuff much better than I ever could. But if you look at 92K, of course, like clockwork, yesterday, Sunday night, boom, we crashed $2,000 to $3,000, and then I guess at night we bounce right back, and boom, the U.S. market opens, we crash again, right? So, but that's a common pattern at the beginning of the week and Friday afternoon. That's like the pattern. So after this storm has passed, my guess is that we'll be good for 4 days, and then Friday night, boom, market makers will crash the price of Bitcoin again to enable their options shenanigans and all that sort of stuff. Short term doesn't interest me. Short term movements do not interest me. To me, what interests me is that this stock is a winner in the long run. And you know, my confidence in strategy, when you see that this guy on vacation in Abu Dhabi taking tourist pictures is able to just buy $1 billion of Bitcoin in a week. I mean, this is, you have the most powerful man in the world in the making here. This is insane. $1 billion of Bitcoin within a week, and the guy is just taking pics like a tourist, and you know, it's very funny. It's very funny. I love it very much. Anyways, the strategy, of course, the stock is up more than Bitcoin. It's roughly in line, right? Because you would expect strategy to be 1.5x Bitcoin. So that's maybe just a tad outperformance, but otherwise, you know, roughly in line. The market, I think, is digesting this news pretty well. What matters for the iPhone moment of strategy, of course, is stretch. What matters for the preferred is stretch getting back to 100, and we are slowly on our way back to 100 at 98.69. What's important to note, of course, is on Wednesday, we probably get a rate cut. When we get a rate cut on Wednesday, SOFR is going to drop by 25 basis points, and he increased the dividend this month by 25 basis points, which means that, in my view, sometimes in December, we should get back to 100. And you know what? If the market continues to be so wary, because like I said, I don't trust this market right now. I'm buying very little things right now. I really don't trust this market. If the market continues to be so strange, I'm going to call it strange, for an end of year. The end of year 2025 is just strange, like bad. It's not that bad. It's just very, very strange. If the market continues to be this way, what's going on? It means in January, he's going to increase the rate and over 25 basis points, and then stretch will hit 100 in January if it's not December. And again, if you own the common stock, if you don't have options, if you don't have leverage ETFs, then you're golden. Like, this is, I'm so happy. Like, I sleep well at night. Like, as long as you don't have any leverage plays, you know, I mean, this stock, in my view, it's just going to rebound, in my view. 2026, we'll see in 2026. So anyways, this was not investment advice. Of course, this is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.